several argue that the economy and voting purely based on economic just issue itself favors Trump more, and some polls do indicate that. Criticism has come out that Trump's economy has not recovered well, though, since the pandemic hit. However, Trump and his administration claim that there's definitely a good return coming. They refer to as a super V, and that claiming that next year in 2021 will be the best year yet for the United States. And Trump touts frequently that his administration has had the best economy under him before the pandemic hit, with record level unemployment for Americans, including Black and Hispanic people. But Biden criticizes him as not being good for groups such as farmers, as he said in Pennsylvania recently, which he claims have been worse off during his presidency in the totality of things. Some critics are wary, though, as well, of Biden's tax proposals, saying that they may drastically go up if he's elected, and that by cutting the Trump tax cuts, people may be worse off. Also, some say Biden's Green New Deal would further increase taxes across the economy and also leave many people employed in certain sectors, such as who have coal jobs or petroleum-based jobs, certain energy sector jobs in general, unemployed. So, Ryan, how do you see, as far as economics and people voting from their wallets, how do you see that playing out between choosing between Trump and Biden?
I would say there is a consensus that the economy was doing great earlier in the year. Whether it's along partisan lines, I wouldn't say. I mean, there was a pretty good understanding in January, February, the first part of this year, that things were doing better than we've seen in a while. The stock market was at highs, record highs. But just for everyday people, unemployment was very low. The ball for job seekers was almost entirely in the job seekers' court. You had a lot of businesses that needed good quality candidates and, more positions than candidates. So things were in a very good position for the average everyday person earlier in the year in many different metrics. As far as the Trump tax cuts, also universally agreed upon in the business world that those were a huge boost to the economy. And with any tax cuts, you're not going to see an immediate boost the second that you pass these tax cuts. I think it is fair that, they were passed in 2017. So here, 3 years later, you really started feeling the effects of those tax cuts. One of the first things that Trump did.
Right.
So by an objective metric, the economy was better. Has COVID put a huge damper on that? Yes.
Yeah, like any country,
But yes, and it's put a huge damper on every country. It's put a huge damper on a lot of industries. Food and beverage we talked about a little bit, but also the cruise industry, the travel industry, anything that's connected to tourism. All of these industries have been devastated by COVID.
Do you feel, though, Brian, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Do you feel in general, or do you get the impression where you are or people you speak to there in the United States that people will vote for Biden based on economic issues? They'll vote, as the expression goes, they'll vote their wallet, because of seeing a better economy under Biden in 2020 and going forward?
I've yet to hear anyone make the economic case for Biden. And as far as polling goes, that bears out too. Polling in the U.S., Trump's winning on the economy still. And it's the economy stupid is one of those old lines, and I think it will come down to the economy but when you say the economy, that means completely different things to different people. If you're talking about the housewife or the single mom with 3-4 kids, what does the economy mean to them? Well, how much does milk cost? How much does the stuff that I need cost? How much does gas cost to get my kids to and from school, to and from wherever they need to go? There's different metrics depending on who you're talking to. But just in general, from an objective standpoint, it's mostly universal consensus that Trump is better for the economy.
Yeah, I from what I've seen from the outside, I see more of the sway and favorability going to Trump regarding economic issues and COVID to Biden. I don't know. I don't know if that's the same kind of consensus you've.
I could say possibly. The COVID issue to Biden, I think, may be overstated by the media. The U.S. media is overly representing, I think, people's fears and people's true issues. Most places that opened up early, most places that stayed open despite other orders, have boomed, have done well because of it. People are coming out to support them. Anywhere where there's a concert, whatever it's outside, it's socially distanced, anywhere where people can get around the regulations and still come together is still successful. So just from a, fellow community member, just from that perspective, people aren't as fearful as I think a lot of people would lead you to believe, especially once more data comes out.
Sure.
As far as survival rates and all of those sort of things.
Yeah. And, again, as time goes on, as more knowledge and evidence and data is presented with, the coronavirus, as, better therapeutics come out and eventually a vaccine, people feel a little bit better, I think.
Well,
or
and
a
real
lot
quick
better.
too, I think Trump getting COVID actually helps him on that issue ultimately, because 2 million, I think, is the case number. There's been 2 million cases or positive tests in the US. So that's a lot of people who are going to relate with having it.
Right.
And the vast majority of them survived and are probably still going to vote in November.
Sure.
So I think that also lends credence to the president, and it also gives him a perspective that Biden doesn't have. Trump can say, yeah, I went through it. I know what it's like. We can beat it. And even, you mentioned the Bob Woodward comments, even those comments, he clarified the reason why he didn't, treat it as big of an issue as maybe it was because he didn't want to cause panic. He wanted people to stay calm. And it's extremely essential for business, where no matter where you are, to have a calm public if you're going to do business. If people are panicking, there's going to be certain items getting stockpiled and you're going to have shortages on the shelves. We saw this. We saw a lot of this early on in the pandemic. So even if you want to say he was wrong for not, saying how serious it was right off the bat, his the reason why is clearly logical, because you don't want people to panic, and we've seen what happens when people panic. Good things don't happen when people panic.
Yeah, and I think that was his argument that he was saying before. He's like he made that conscious decision to not let the general mass public, just
to maybe downplay it a little bit. You could say.
Yeah. So, there's both sides that say, okay, well, he shouldn't be so secretive about something that is quote unquote or thought of at that time, especially so deadly. But at the same time, some do give credence to him, not allowing, mass panic, so there's both sides of that for sure. And it is what,
like everything else, it can be twisted however people want to twist it.
Right.
So